In sterile laboratories hidden in the middle of the desert, scientists spent years assembling the perfect killer piece by piece. This creature comes equipped with built-in night vision, moves in absolute silence, and has an uncanny ability to survive where any other life form would shrivel into a dried-out husk. The genetic experiment is finally complete, and now hundreds of modified predators are ready to be deployed into the real world. You're probably thinking this is some kind of classified military drone, right? Think again. Today, you'll learn why a noble attempt to save nature could turn into a global catastrophe. You'll see how ordinary fertilizer transformed safe sands into a minefield of venomous snakes. We'll break down why our major cities have become 24/7 all-you-can-eat buffets for wild animals. And most importantly, you'll understand what really happens when humans try to fix their mistakes but only make things worse. This is the United Arab Emirates, and they've decided to pick a fight with extinction itself. When the local sandcat population crashed to critical levels, fewer than 250 individuals remained. A breeding center in Al Ain launched a massive revival project. In 2003, biologists froze genetic material to preserve the code of life, and 7 years later, the first living kittens emerged from test tubes. To strengthen the species, they added genes from relatives in America, Europe, and the Middle East to the local bloodline. The result was a textbook-perfect hybrid. These creatures look like adorable house pets, but appearances are deceiving. Their ears are hypersensitive radar dishes capable of detecting a rodent rustling deep underground from nearly 600 feet away. Dense fur between their toes works like snowshoes, protecting their paws from burns on scorching sand. Today, Al Ain boasts the largest population in the world, and beyond the center's walls, they're already preparing the next risky step, releasing these predators back into the wild. But why do we even need this army of cats? It all started when farmers in the emirate of Ras Al Khaimah faced a threat straight out of a biblical plague. The country began mass importing fertilizer from the tropics, but nobody bothered to inspect what was inside those bags. And lurking within, in a dormant state, were eggs of dangerous reptiles ready to hatch. When the heat pushed sand temperatures past 120 degrees Fahrenheit, invaders began emerging from the soil. Terrified farmers reported sightings of eastern brown snakes, an aggressive Australian species considered one of the most venomous on the planet. For the local ecosystem, this was a shock. The snakes started taking over plantations and slithering toward homes. At the same time, farms came under attack from hordes of rodents. Rats and mice were destroying food stores, eating eggs, and even attacking live sheep. The situation spiraled out of control, and people urgently needed an effective living weapon. The idea seemed brilliant. Why drench the desert in tons of chemicals when you've got the sandcat? This animal is the perfect candidate. It barely drinks water, getting moisture from its prey's blood. It digs through sand faster than you can blink and successfully attacks snakes without caring whether they're venomous or not. These cats weigh less than 7 pounds, and they're practically invisible and silent. The plan looked flawless. Release an army of tiny predators to clear the territory. Cats eliminate rodents and snakes. Farmers save their crops. Balance restored. But there's an unknown variable in this equation. When you release a predator into an environment overflowing with easy prey, you set off a chain reaction that's impossible to control. Instead of following our script, nature might choose its own path, one scientists never saw coming. We tend to think that expanding cities kill wildlife. In reality, they train it. Modern metropolises have become new biomes where survival is actually easier than in the forest. Raccoons in Toronto, jackals in Tel Aviv's parks, and leopards on Mumbai's outskirts have proven that a city is an endless source of resources. According to biologists' estimates, more than 2,000 animal species have already adapted to living alongside us. There's no drought here, and overflowing dumpsters provide a steady stream of calories. If you release sandcats, they'll quickly figure out the truth. Why chase a dangerous snake in the desert when there are plenty of slow-moving rats under the city streetlights? The cats will simply relocate. And instead of desert exterminators, we risk creating elusive nocturnal raiders right outside our windows. But even if the cats stay in the desert, another scenario awaits us. Nature operates on the strict principle of the trophic pyramid. There's always plenty of food at the bottom, but only a handful of predators at the top. That's the law of balance. Sandcats sit at the peak of the desert pyramid. but we're artificially adding hundreds of new hunters, expanding the top to a size the system can't support. Ecologists call the consequences of such interference a trophic cascade. Hungry predators will start wiping out everything in sight, not just pests, but lizards, birds, spiders too. Lizards disappear, and insects instantly explode in numbers. Birds vanish and locusts arrive. First, the desert goes silent, then it gets swamped by a wave of new parasites. We're trying to fix one glitch in the system, but instead we risk collapsing the entire food chain. There's another fatal factor: the animal's temperament. Sandcats are born wanderers. Recent studies have shown they have the largest home range of any wild cat. A single male can patrol a territory of at least 120 square miles. They simply don't know how to stay put. Previous attempts to return them to the wild prove this. In Israel, a zoo already tried releasing sandcats into the Arava Valley. The results were dismal. Animals raised in captivity didn't survive. They either couldn't adapt or wandered so far that scientists lost track of them entirely. Expecting these free-roaming nomads to obediently guard farm boundaries is like trying to hold back the wind. They'll simply dissolve into the sands, and we'll lose control over them once again. The history of attempts to restore nature reads like a list of tragedies. Remember the Persian leopard reintroduction program in Russia's Caucasus Mountains. Several years ago, new predators were brought into the country. Adaptation centers were built, and months were spent teaching the animals to hunt. But what was the outcome of these massive efforts? A leopard named Killy was killed by poachers. A female named Victoria died. The cause of her death is still debated, ranging from starvation to an unknown infection. A leopard named Elbrus vanished after a mudslide. His collar's signal went silent forever. Out of 10 released animals, the survival rate was frighteningly low. Years of work and millions in investment shattered by chance or disease. Every success is followed by a painful setback. The final example of good intentions leading to catastrophe happened in the Netherlands. The Oostvaardersplassen project was envisioned as a Dutch Serengeti, a paradise for wild animals in the heart of Europe. Vast territory, wild horses, deer, total freedom. But the creators forgot to add predators to this system. The herbivore population began growing uncontrollably, reaching 5,230 animals. Then came a brutal winter. Paradise turned into a killing field. Animals died of starvation by the hundreds, gnawing bark off trees. Humans had to intervene and cull nearly 90% of the herd. Only about 1,850 animals were left alive. And just recently, in April 2025, an attempt to relocate koalas to new forests in Australia ended with them dying of sepsis after rains. Every time we crudely meddle with nature's machinery, we open Pandora's box. And with sandcats, it looks like humanity is ready to make the same mistake all over again. See you soon.